Schooners of the world, football fans. It is your friend, Shotta and George, doing the show. Hopefully, we have some people who have clocked in to check us doing our first live post game. And I have the one and only Blackburn George, and I'm your host, Shotta underscore Gooner. And remember, let me get the housekeeping out. Our subscribers are growing. Our viewers are growing slowly but surely, but absolutely. I remember when we had one subscriber, George, that was probably me. And now we're growing a little bit. So remember to subscribe and to like our live presentations because that helps us. Because if you go on YouTube and search for Uncensored, you will have a hard time getting us. You can only get this show if you support us. And we are stubborn, George. I never knew anybody more stubborn than George, but I'm trying to reach up with him. George, after that long introduction, my friend, welcome. You look like a happy bunny. How could you be happy? That was not an ordinary, regular love to loss, as we like to say. We were hammered at home, George. Am I overstating this?
What do you expect?
Well, you predicted on Friday when we did our weekly Arsenal show that would be 3-0. And I hedged my bet while our good friend Ehab was hoping for an upset. But, I was hoping that maybe we could do something like what he did on Boxing Day last year. But this is a different Chelsea, George. A different outfit altogether. This Thomas Tuchel outfit is not, and the personnel, maybe one or two of them are different, but they outplayed us. What did you see in this outfit?
Well, I saw a better team than Arsenal.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we got some feedback.
Well, it's not from me, George. You're sounding good on my end.
Well, it can't be from me.
Keep going. Don't worry. It's very good over here.
Well, I saw a better team than Arsenal and a better team than most teams in the league.
Yes, true.
And they'll beat a lot of teams that easily. A lot of mid-table teams, which is what we are. I said this during the week. You can dream all you want. We're a mid-table team.
We're eighth. The tables don't lie.
If we're saying that we're buying for the future and we've got all these 21, 22, 23, 24-year-olds that in a couple of years will become a better team, then don't expect it to be better today. We've got to accept this is where we are. And I said, again, something I said before the weekend, no manager in the world can come in and turn us into a top four outfit. It's easy to be critical at the moment because I don't like Arteta. I think he's made some horrible mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
But what could he have done today? Who could he have picked? Could you have picked a better team?
No.
If it was available? Could I have picked a better team?
I'll be the devil's advocate, George. People will say, well, we could have lined up with Lacazette as a centre forward. We played.
He's not fit. He's not fit.
I know. I'm not saying what he could have done. I'm just saying theoretically. He's suffering from COVID.
That's not theoretically. That's not in theory. Mm-hmm. That's not in practice. It's impossible because he's not fit. He's ill.
Mm-hmm.
So he couldn't have played him. He couldn't start Aubameyang because Aubameyang's been ill for a week with COVID. Nikita's injured.
And maybe he's on his way out too.
Partey's out injured. Mm-hmm. Gabriel's just come back. He couldn't really start. Ben White's sick, so he couldn't really go three at the back. Hector Bellerin, it appears, doesn't want to play. He wants to get out the club. So really, realistically, although he's by far our best right back, he couldn't play him either. So who could he have played? I
George,
couldn't have picked a better team than that today. We're just not good enough. That team was just not good enough. And I'm not going to blame Arteta for it, because I don't think he could have picked a better team on the day. There's plenty I can blame Arteta for, but not today. Not against that Chelsea team. That's a massively expensive squad, managed by a hugely experienced and very good manager.
and you know what, George? They outplayed us with what they did is they played their usual 3-5-2 setup. It's kind of not even quite that, because Lukaku has changed their it could well, Mount is kind of withdrawn, or Havertz is kind of withdrawn. Mount is on the right. The setup is not even a fix 3-5-2 like they used to play. But even so, let us say that they did. But with Lukaku there, it's a far more dangerous proposition. I mean, he should have scored at least 2 goals today. That exceptional save by Leno in the second half was goal bound.
Yeah, and that would have been 3-0, like I predicted. I'm furious. Furious.
You're angry.
Leno stopped me from being right. But it was a poor. We were just outclassed. But
correct. But you know, George, I was thinking
the effort was there.
Sorry, go ahead.
The effort was there. They tried hard. I mean, I think Tierney had a shocker. He probably fought for both the goals, really.
And he was dragged inside. This is what they did. You know, they would play in the midfield, play around us in the midfield, drag us out of position. A Holding was on both goals was going out to match up with Havertz, and would leave Murray one-on-one with Lukaku, and Tierney himself. That's
not a recipe for success, is it?
Right? I mean, right? And Tierney was being dragged inside together with Xhaka. Poor Saka would not come and help down on the left. Reece James was left with the entire right side of the park to chuck in a very nice cross and also to score his goal. But it was because they just moved us out of position. We were, it was like men against boys. You remember that?
That's exactly what it was, though. It was men against boys.
Mm-hmm.
And they got it right, and we didn't get it right. But I just don't know what else they could have done. Honestly, I'd love to have a go at Arteta. You know what I think about him. But what else could he have done?
Well, George, this is what I was going to say.
Well, I thought Xhaka and Lukongo were fine in midfield. I did. Mm-hmm. But they were having to drop so deep so that they could crowd Lukaku out.
Yes.
That there was no way out for us.
Help Murray with Lukaku.
Well, rightly so. I mean, there's a lot of better defenders than Murray will need to be helped out with handling Lukaku this season.
He's big.
I thought some of them did all right. I thought Holding did all right. I thought Cedric did all right, to be honest.
Yes. On the right side there, although they didn't focus their attacks on him.
I thought Lukongo and Xhaka were fine. But nothing more than fine, but they were all right, and when the team's not functioning, if you're all right, that's about the best you can expect. So I'm not shocked. I'm not deeply disappointed. I'm not disgusted. I expected it. I did. I predicted it. I said
neither am I, George. I mean, I'm pleasantly surprised. I took it in my stride. I was hoping we wouldn't get humiliated, and I think that Tuchel kind of tell them, take the foot off the pedal. And he said in the post-game presser that they had a heavy week of training, and he was very polite. He wasn't going to he didn't say that we eased up, you know, but he was, you know, we had a heavy week of training and it showed up in the second half. It was very coach, manager speak, you know what I mean? He didn't want to embarrass us. But the point I want to make about changes, because people will say this, is that Aubameyang might have made a difference, George. And I was hoping he got one big shot on because a play broke down and Smith Rowe gave him the ball and he got a shot goalwards. We had two big chances in the second half, and that was one of them. Shortly after it came on.
That wasn't a big chance. He made it a chance, but it fell on his left foot, not his strongest foot. And it had done well. A left footer would have done well to score that.
But you know what the point I'm making, George? The point I'm making is that he never had another chance for the 30 minutes he was on the field.
No, but they're a better team. You know, they were a better team. They were on top, and they were just holding us at bay. It was like I don't know. It's like Muhammad Ali fighting a 15-year-old, keeping him away with the jab. You know, he didn't want to knock him out. He just wanted to keep it going till the end of the 15th, and so we weren't creating chances. I think Smith Rowe was decent.
Decent is the best word. I was looking.
But he ran out of steam. He ran out of steam as well.
Mm-hmm.
Pepe did some magic early on.
Yes.
And after that, apart from that 10 seconds, he was his normal self. So
yes. I know what you mean. He did a number one of the Chelsea fellas. I remember that, and it was oohs and ahs. But after that, that was it. Omi Javed, our good friend, said Chelsea just strolled to the park, and we showed absolutely no ambition to try and change that. But you're saying, George, that we didn't have the ability to change that.
No, that's right. That's exactly what I'm saying. You know, it's all very well. So, you know, Arteta should have made changes, should have done something. What can you do?
Well,
against better players playing better on the day. What can you do?
But George, do you say that with all seriousness in that Arteta made no adjustments? I don't know. I mean, there was a period of my commentator was saying Arteta is barking out instructions every minute while Tuchel sits in the dugout, not saying a word, letting them play. This is actually commentators, not me and you, because we have spoken about that at length. But he made not even halftime. What did you see any adjustments? Let's put it that way.
What adjustments could he have made? I can't see. I can't. What? Bring on. What's his name? Bagalon or whatever he called.
Yeah, they brought him on in the last.
You know, bring him on.
Mm-hmm.
Bring Aubameyang on. He did that when it probably for the longest time he could, half an hour.
Yes.
What else? Could he have brought Mohamed El Neni on? How would that have helped us? You know what I'm saying? You know, it's all right saying he should have done something. What the fuck could he do? I couldn't have done anything. I love to pontificate and say what I would have done because I think I'm a fucking expert.
Mm-hmm.
But I was led on the settee, chilled out because it wasn't really surprising me what was going on. I wasn't like all on edge. And I'm looking and I'm thinking, there's nothing to be done here. There's nothing he can do.
Yeah.
You just got to hope that we stem the tide and get to the end of the game and it's not a really embarrassing defeat. I mean, ARSvCHE would probably have done something.
Well, I was about to say that. Hold on, I was about to say that. I'm gonna give me a chance to say that. I tweeted that the old man would have gone toe-to-toe with them. And he probably would have drawn 2-0. I didn't say he'd have probably lost 4-0. And we would have come out of there with our head held high. But
would we? Because he's done it before and it's not worked.
Yes.
You know, it's not like he didn't always do it. He didn't always turn it around.
Yes.
I remember playing at Old Trafford.
Yes.
And we were 3-2 down and on top, and he made some changes and we lost 8-2. So he didn't always get it right.
I remember that too. I remember that too. And it's turned turned a lot of people against him. Oh, you're going to Old Trafford. But George, my position is a little different from yours. My position is that at the end of the day, you come out of that knowing that if you play like that against another team, you will probably get a result. I think that's the psychological mark that Wenger was trying to leave. What does that do for us going into Manchester City next? I think we're playing them on a Saturday, I think.
Yeah.
So what does that do to us? You see, do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah, I think that Wenger was playing.
Does it do anything? Would it have been worse if we'd have lost 4 or 5-0? Because
I suppose let us be admitted. Yes, I suppose it would be humiliating. Yeah.
You know, and we'll just have to hope for the best. I mean, I think it could be carnage at Manchester City. It really could.
Yeah, well, I mean, the problem I'm having here, George.
Because the problem is playing Manchester City. It's all about the midfield.
Right.
Right.
And they'll move us around, George. And our midfield, I don't care if
completely outnumber us.
Yes.
They'll have 6 technical midfielders playing against 1.5.
1.5 technicians.
Yeah. So, you know.
Rancid Potato in the comment. Rancid, welcome. That's my Trinidadian buddy. I agree with George. They hit an invisible wall. So George, you know, well, they're gonna hit up. They're gonna hit up with something bigger and stronger at City because it's away. Rancid. How would you advise Arteta to play that one, George? You see, that is the question because all these nuts.
I'd get Ben White out of quarantine and get him to breathe over everybody. See if they can get half the team down with COVID, then they can get the game cancelled. Well, best of luck to him. You know, I don't.
Pogba is playing very well these days.
It's like we're talking about what's Arteta going to do. What could anybody do? We're going to be playing the best team in the country away from home with a depleted squad. It's a recipe for disaster. It really is. And I mean, they beat Norwich 5-0 yesterday.
Yes.
And Norwich are a better team than Brentford, by the way.
Oh, yeah. They won the championship.
They won the championship. Brentford came third.
Yes.
So it could be a long, hot day.
Yes, they conceded.
But I'm not that. I mean, really, I'm not that bothered because I've accepted we're mid-table, and I've accepted that we're going to be mid-table this year and next year and maybe the year after. Because that's what we're buying towards. That's what we've got. That's the profile of the player that we're buying. We're buying young potential, and you have to wait for that potential to come to fruition. It may never come to fruition, but what it certainly won't do is come to fruition next week. So if you're expecting that every week when we do a podcast, we're going to be crying because, you know, we're not top 4 challengers. Well, I'm not going to be crying about not being top 4 challengers because I've accepted that we're not.
Well, you know, George, I would say that what we did, let's be honest, all these people who will not recognize that we're a mid-table team, we broke up a top 4 team. We said we broke it up. We deliberately broke it up. Yeah. We sent Ozil to Fenerbahce. We said we don't need Santi, even though he was recovered. Even though he was recovered, George, and he could have given us a few games. We got rid of Monreal. You know, he was a monster. I mean, he was reliable. He could play center half. He could play left back. He knew how to run combinations. We got rid of him.
A bit though, Shotta.
But George, what I'm saying is that that was trying to give an illustration of how we broke up a team, right? Yeah. I'm not harping on the past. And then now, most of these people are going to say, well, what you're saying is, we should be a top level team right now. When Kroenke says in the program, he's brought a lot of young players and players from the academy. That's what he puts in the program. So how do you expect? I'm agreeing with George. How do you expect us to be challenging for top four? And poor old Arteta is supposed to make miracles when he's a young coach. I'm just making a point. I'm not harping at the past because obviously that's not coming back.
Yeah, because that's gone. We missed that window of opportunity. And to be fair to Arteta, it wasn't him who missed it. He came along and the opportunity had gone. Emery missed that opportunity.
Right.
Emery and Raul missed the opportunity to build on what Arsene had left.
They broke it up.
We broke it up. Mm-hmm. And then it was too broken when Arteta came in to recover it. And I think he made it worse with what he did with Mesut Ozil. But I'm not sure Mesut Ozil could have, fixed these ills.
No, because
all he would have been would be a lightning rod forever. They blame him instead of Xhaka.
Correct.
It's as simple as that. So he's maybe better out of it. Arsene Wenger's better out of it. And very shortly, Mikel Arteta's going to be better off out of it.
That is how football goes.
Unless we stick with him. We stick with him. Because Kroenke can do that, He can do it. He can turn around and legitimately say, you've asked me to make these investments in these young players for this coach, and I'm going to give him 2 years to bring it to fruition. He can say that. It's his club. And there's fuck all we can do about it.
Well,
and it might not be the worst fucking idea either. I mean, again, I hark back to, I don't like Arteta for what he's done, but we're in it. Sometimes when you're in, you go all in, and it's shit or bust, But I think unless we're in a relegation fight come Christmas, he'll probably be all right, Arteta. Much to our rancor.
But George, another theme that you touch on, our fans asked for this. They said we need a new. I mean, let's be clear. Most of our fans, not all, most of our fans asked for this. They said we need a new manager and we need new, fresh, young players, and we need to spend money. And he's done it.
He has. But unfortunately, he's appointed the wrong people to oversee it. And he's letting his son play with us like a fucking... He's on the same learning curve as Mikel Arteta.
Right. Which is that they're at stage one.
Yeah. So we've got a rookie coach and we've got basically a rookie owner because Josh is in charge. I mean, I saw he were at the photo op signing Ramsdale.
Yes.
So he'd flown in for that. But they've spent money, haven't they? They've spent 150 million.
He can get it out of mom and dad, that much I don't have a doubt about. George, Omi says, George, just a moment. Omi says we were never this hopeless at home, ever in all of Wenger's era. We played one of the best teams in Europe before 2 at home and always gave them a much better fight. Your response?
Of course we did, because he was a better coach and it was a better team. That's like, tell me something I don't know.
Well, and an admission, well, you're not making an admission, but you're making a statement, but an admission to many fans who refuse to accept that anyway.
Well, that's the point. What's the point in telling them? They're not going to listen. The reality is we had a world-class coach who had built a very good team with very little money.
Built and George, built and rebuilt.
Built, rebuilt, and rebuilt again. And he was halfway through rebuilding it another time, and they cut him off at the knees. and they cut him off at the knees because our fans wanted it.
Right.
The media wanted it.
Mhm.
Sky TV wanted it. It was going to be a big story. It was the biggest story of the year, Arsene Wenger leaving.
Yes.
It was marvellous for them. It was marvellous for our fans who thought that any manager could win the league with that squad other than Wenger.
You took
And
the
now,
words out of my
they
mouth.
all deny saying that. They all deny saying it. They all deny saying that he was underachieving with the squad. And they now turned it round and saying that he left us in a mess. Whereas at the time, it was the opposite to that. We would fly now that we got rid of this old geezer. He was holding us up. He was Arsenal Football Club.
Well.
So fuck them. They get what they deserve.
Okay.
Then we're going to have to live with it.
Well, George, on that, but you know, they'll never forgive you for saying this. And by the way, in one of my promo for this podcast, I said, if you don't trust the process, you need to listen to join with Shotta and George, because we have never trusted the process from the very beginning. And I commend them to go and look back at all the podcasts that you and I have done over the last 15 months. We said this was dodgy, this was suspect, and this was going to be to our detriment. And my concern, George, is when we meet Norwich and who else after Manchester's, if we will have the wherewithal. We have two mid-table teams before Tottenham. Tottenham is late September. Burnley. Who yesterday I saw them against
Liverpool.
And
they look better than us.
In the first half, they gave them a goddamn fright. you see that? Yeah, they scored an offside goal, which would have put them up at that level. Yeah. But, you know, they were lively. And people, George, my concern, for the benefit of the audience, is if we will be psychologically, I mean, these are professionals. They're supposed to pick themselves up. You know, a loss is a loss. Hey, it's not the end of the world. So, I mean, and that is the job of Arteta. Don't worry about today. Today is gone.
That is a problem, though.
Yes.
We could lose against Manchester City. And then if it's Burnley, no, it's Norwich then.
Norwich first.
If, God forbid, we don't win against Norwich and we're 0-4, we haven't got Arsene Wenger to pick us up. We haven't got Arsene Wenger's experience. We've got Mikel Arteta with no experience.
Right. And never been in this kind of position.
No, it could be a difficult job picking us up. And that loss to Brentford was shocking, really. And it could have big repercussions just because of who we played next. If we didn't get those 3 points on the board, we were in trouble, because the next two games were Chelsea and Manchester City.
And you know, George, I don't know who Norwich has. I don't know who Norwich has next. But they have taken two heavy losses. they get a pasting up at City and United, knock them around. So they are looking for points. They're not, and the concern that I have is that these teams are now looking around and say, whose scalp can I take? And this is the problem. They are seeing Arsenal as vulnerable. And Sean Dyche is going to feel that he can get some points off us. And that is the concern that all of us should have, not just me and you.
Well, he could get points off us. Not much between the two teams.
You're cruel. Come again, George. But they truly look lively, and they had some big 6-footers in defense. I don't know how Aubameyang and Martinelli and Balogun are going to get around.
Martinelli's injured now.
Yes, and so is Tierney.
So is Tierney.
Tierney
had a shocker though. That might be better with him out the team for a couple of weeks.
And the boy Tavares, I'm thinking of somebody else. George.
It's not like the criticism of that Tavares is that he's good going forward, but he's not very good at defending.
That's right.
Well, I won't worry about that, because Kieran Tierney is exactly the same.
Truly, that's true.
He's good at going forward, and he's not very good at defending. In fact, he's good at going forward to a degree, but he needs to lift his head up and stop just spamming the ball into the middle in the hope that somebody's made a third man run, which nobody does.
Right.
Nobody makes those
because
runs.
they can't break out of their position, George. They can't.
Aaron Ramsey would have had a field day with Kurt
exactly
Sheeran,
right.
But he would have. Aaron Ramsey.
But Aaron Ramsey would have left his zone, and they don't like people leaving their zone. You see, this whole thing is too mechanical.
They can't leave the zones because they've got the zones covering Mari and Holding, sitting in front of them. Well, we're in trouble, aren't we?
Well, I don't know if the listeners are listeners. We're talking about how the way Arteta sets up his team in these zones, and if you'll notice, he hardly has midfielders breaking and arriving in the box. They simply don't. It's because they've been drilled to play in this way, and it makes it very difficult, George, to create any chances, and it makes us eventually very predictable to teams, and especially if you don't have the technical ability to keep the ball and to maneuver it and to get it where you want it to go. Anyway, George, I don't know if we can make any more out of this. And any thoughts more from?
I think everybody will have had enough now.
Yeah. Well, at least I don't think.
Let's throw the towel in.
We have. Until we do this again, folks, Gooners, remember to like and subscribe to this YouTube channel. We'll also broadcast it as a podcast. You look out for that on Positively Arsenal and on Uncensored Arsenal. We have been getting great responses, but this YouTube channel is growing, and to be honest, has a lot of potential. Lots of people now seek their views, their news on YouTube, and we all geezers, we have been late to the party, but we're trying to make up ground. So please like and subscribe to us. George and I are committed to this little project. It's he's gonna be like Arteta. He'll blame me if this project fails. George, thank you, my friend. It has been good. Thank you, my audience. There have been some nice comments from Omi and for Rancid, who might not have satisfied you and made you happy, but we speak it as we see. Thank you very much. Until we meet again, guys, like and subscribe to the Uncensored Arsenal YouTube channel. Bye, George.
Bye.